All right. Hello and welcome again to another episode of Jake's Takes. This week I'm looking at week 4's game between the Boston Breakers and Chicago Red Stars. And this was also our game of the week on Twitter. So if you follow us on Twitter, you've probably followed along with Jen's thoughts and comments throughout the game. So to start the game, to start this chat, I will do what I always do and start with the lineups. Boom, here is Chicago Red Stars. So this is they've really built an identity around this 4-4-2 system with the diamond midfield. One of the key features that they really rely on is that Aaron Gilliland and Casey Short are very aggressive going forward, and they provide the attacking width for this team. You'll notice that Alyssa Mouts and DiBernardo, they both tuck inside, and they really, that four of Colaprico, DiBernardo, Mouts, and Press, they really flood the central part of the field, and they're able to create overloads and clog up things, and are able to play nice possession when they're outnumbering the other team's center mids. It was interesting in this game because Press continued in that role at the tip of the diamond. In the Chicago Red Star preview episode that you can go back and watch before the season, we were talking about Christen Press and trying to figure out that dynamic between Huerta and Press, and I advocated that I thought that it would be actually a really good idea to put Press into that number 10 role. Her technicality with her feet, her vision, her ability to take long shots. I thought that made her a very attractive number 10 option for the team because Amanda DaCosta was injured. Having seen the first couple games with her in that position, I'm not sure whether it's clicking or not. Hoy and Huerta, when Press was out of the lineup last year, did very well for the Red Stars, and it's kind of been a weird thing. They have their top three players in the attack on the field, and they're just not scoring. They're kind of scraping by 1-0 each game. So it was interesting to see Press continue in that role. And again, didn't quite work out, but you really can see where he's trying to go with that, with her there. And on the Boston Breakers side, they've got their very, very rigid 4-2-3-1. And what we see here is that, we got Salem and Zerboni holding down that midfield. They're the double pivot. Neither one of them really ventures forward too much. And we've got Steph McCaffrey and Christy Mewis on the wings. And they like to, when they get the ball, they like to play inverted, and they like to try to take their player on and cut inside. What's interesting, McCaffrey got called up to the national team in the offseason, and she was kind of stuck out on that wing. Last season she was a more central role, and I think, so far she hasn't been able to really replicate that form from the previous season, and she's been kind of trying to find her feet again after being played out wide again. That front three of Simon, McCaffrey, and Mewis, they're still trying to find that goal, and I think going through this game, you'll kind of see why I think they're struggling for goals. It wasn't a situation where they weren't really generating chances. They were, because as you can see here early on, in the 14th minute, we got a corner kick. Again, this is one of their best chances to score all game. The ball is going to come in, and at the back post, you're going to see they're going to win this header, which is surprising because there's so many people back defending this. And actually, Whitney Engen, who's standing off the field there, she is actually going to win that second knockdown ball, and she's going to head it across the face of goal. And at this point, you think, oh, this is great, because that's exactly what you want. Nayer's glued to that near post. You got players at the back post who can attack this in the 6. All things should be going good. On the Chicago side, great numbers back for that to help defend it. Alyssa Nayer's got 5 people back to help mark those 3 Boston attacking players there. And what we see is, they get that first header towards goal, and DiBernardo's there to head it away. Again, great positioning from her. And then, she doesn't quite get it clear, and they get a double header situation where they flick it towards the back post. Nayer's not even close to getting that, and they've got Danny Colaprico there to clear off the line. And, that to me is the NWSL save of the week. I don't think that Ashlyn Harris is isn't going to lose that vote count right now. I think she's at like a 65%, which it's depressing because, this is a clear double clearance. And I think that Colaprico really deserves credit for staying on the post and really waiting until the danger was cleared before she moved out and moved forward with this play. So, Boston, great chance here. Unlucky that they didn't finish but at the same time, it's because Chicago was so well positioned and they were really, really good at getting back defensively on the set piece. Now, moving forward here, I've kind of really highlighted that 4-4-2 formation that Chicago had. It worked really well. You can see the DiBernardo Mouts tucked in press at the top of the diamond. Danny Colaprico drops really far back to try to collect some possession. This case, Erin Gilliland's got a ton of space on this flank to attack into because of how high up the field the Boston winger is. In this situation, she actually does play it long, and it goes over the top to Jen Hoy, who flips it over Abby Smith, who injures herself on the play, and it goes out of bounds for a goal kick. But again, this is a really good image of what Chicago tries to do with their formation this season and really last season, which they've really built their identity on. A little bit further ahead on this play, we got Casey Short on the ball on the wing, and I just drew some lines in to show the triangles that are being formed because of this diamond midfield. Because Danny Colaprico is in that position, Casey Short can play that ball to Colaprico, who can play it to Julie Johnston, who can play it out to Erin Gilliland. There's so many triangles being made. There are 3 in this case with the 5 players. And it's just simple positioning. There's nothing spectacular with their play in the back. It's just people being in the right place at the right time, and they're able to find short, easy passes and possess and build out of the back. And Boston's front attacking, trio, and Shilgard's kind of up there too in the number 10 role. They're not really able to put enough pressure to stop them from passing around and making those nice crisp passes. And looking forward, and as they get into the attacking third, they really look to get that ball wide. And this time it's Erin Gilliland on the ball, and she's got Alyssa Mouts, who's dropped short to get that pass. There's a triangle there with, I believe that's Huerta. And then also we've got Danny Colaprico backing up the play. Kristen Press is in the middle there. So many triangles, so many passing combinations that we could be making. Boston, on the other hand, they've got that very rigid bank of 4. Zerboni and Salem have dropped really far back to help defend. There's no space in between them and the back line, really. And even Christy Mewis is back there trying to track Erin Gilliland. And that attacking play from Erin Gilliland is really one of the good things from the Chicago Red Stars lineup, because her attacking play forces Mewis to track back that far, and that makes it even harder for Boston to build out, because they have to have so many numbers back to keep them from conceding. They have so much space they have to transition into. Christy Mewis almost on her 18. How's she going to transition 80 yards into the other team's half and break down the Red Stars defense? So, looking a little bit closer at the Boston formation as the game went along, very in possession. Here we go again. 4 in the back. You see your 2, and then your line of 3 here. It's very rigid. Not a lot of depth created from it. A lot of people who are pretty much in line with each other. There's not a lot of depth created from this line. You see on the far side at the top, Steph McCaffrey starts high, but she's going to actually check towards the ball, and it's one of the things. I think she's she does better when she's higher up the field, because when she tracks back to check towards this ball, it's taking another player away from being in a dangerous position, because she's going to track back. Casey Schwartz on her back, it's going to force the play to go negative. It really takes the momentum away from the attack when she does that. You really, last week I highlighted a video that Thierry Henry did on Barcelona's positioning, and one of the things he was so adamant on stressing was position. Stay in your position, stay high and wide, and that will open up space for other people to play into. And because she's checking towards Pathman on that, I think it's Pathman on that flank, it's really taking away that space for her to go into. Yes, she's looking for an outlet. Does she have to drop so deep? No, I don't think so. And then my other thing with Boston's lineup is, Salem and Zerboni are both playing that double pivot. They're playing the double pivot. They're both playing the number 6 role. I understand that Boston last year leaked goals a ton, and they brought in Zerboni, Salem, and Sinead Fairley to try to clean up that midfield. And I just don't know, going forward, 4 games without a goal, do you need to stick with 2 in the back? Do you need to open yourself up a little bit and get another player into that attack? And when their new signing, Beckman, gets in, she might add another attacking player, and maybe they drop Kia Simon back into that number 10 role, get a true attacking 4 into that lineup. I don't know if that's the solution. Maybe it's removing one of Zerboni or Salem, but for me right now, it's just so rigid. They're so concerned about conceding that they're not being able to allow the creative attacking players to really express themselves. At least that's what I'm seeing anyway. And I've clicked the wrong picture. And again, here we go again. This is another situation where this is the diamond from Chicago in action. The ball I've highlighted is actually up in the air from a long ball, but you'll notice that the diamond from Chicago has pinched over wide on that flank, and really when that ball gets knocked down to that side, they're going to have numbers there. They can combine. They can outnumber that Boston midfield and really get the play and spray it to the other side of the field when they need to. I think that's the beauty of the diamond. It's able to kind of flip and flop from side to side, and I think that this is a scenario where it's really showing the strength of that formation. Looking a little bit further down the line, this is another key moment from the match. This is the penalty kick. Here we go. I believe it's Kristie Mewis here who's backing in on Julie Johnston as the ball comes in. And as we'll see as it comes in, if I can click next. Kristie Mewis gets the touch and is turning, and the ball is coming down. I've actually tried to zoom in a little bit closer to get us a better view of it. As the ball is dropping, I've highlighted the ball. Mewis is turning. There's a grappling contest between her and Johnston. And as the ball is coming down, you'll notice that Julie Johnston's foot's in the air, and she's actually going to win that ball and not really even make contact with her leg with Mewis. Mewis is going to run through Julie Johnston's leg after she clears the ball. And I think it's smart play from Mewis, because as an attacker, you make the contact, the ref has to make a decision, and that wins the PK, in my opinion. As a center back, it's something I hate, because, Julie Johnston has every right to stand her ground. Both of them were fighting for that ball. Both of them were grappling with each other. She won the ball, and because Mewis turns into her and runs into her and falls down, it makes it look like it's a foul when it's not necessarily a foul. So, I think it's a soft PK. I think Julie Johnston's really unlucky in this scenario. And luckily for her, karma will pay off, because Mewis will take this PK and it'll hit the post and hit in the air and go out of bounds. So, she gets away with it. going forward, I think that, this is another week of NWSL and another couple PKs have been hit off the post. And really, I think it's a league-wide initiative that we need to really start taking some PKs in practice and figure out who can take them and who has the right mindset to do it. And because I think we're on week 4, and I think we've had at least 4 that have careened off a post at this point. So, I think it's something for the coaches to really look at in the future and really sort out, because it's kind of getting to a point where it's like, can somebody please hit a PK into the goal? It's just crazy. All right, and going forward again, here we are in the second half, and this is the dreaded goal for Boston fans, and the game-winning goal for Chicago. And at the top of the box, I'm going to highlight here Christen Press and Steph McCaffrey. This is a striker marking a striker. Christen Press is always on the national team. She never goes in on these set pieces. She's always outside the box, or playing at the top of the half, waiting for balls to come out to recollect and start again. So, here she is just chilling at the top of the box with McCaffrey. Ball is going to come in. McCaffrey's ball watching. You can see her line of sight's really focused on the ball. Christen Press starts making that run towards the box to get some separation from her. And as we see, the clearance is going to get kind of scuffed. It's going to pop up towards the top of the box. Christen Press is alert. She's going to change direction real quick and get towards that ball. Again, McCaffrey, ball watching, not putting a body on Christen Press. Look how much separation there is between her and Press at this point. There's no way she's going to be able to catch up at that point and close her down. So, again, here we go. The ball is dropping. Christen Press has one thing on her mind, and that's to volley the crap out of that ball and put it in that Boston goal. And McCaffrey is now just reacting to it, 2 seconds, 3 seconds too late. And that's a striker defending on a set piece right there, because they're not switched on defensively. They're ready to collect the clearance. They're not thinking that that ball is going to drop to their player, and she's totally switched off and not alert to the situation. And Press scores 1-0 to Chicago, which is a very familiar scoreline from the first 4 weeks here. And actually, it's the 4th game in a row that Christen Press has scored first for Chicago, and they take the lead again. So as we will go ahead further into this match, here we are again, 78th minute. Here's that 4-4-2 diamond, still rocking it out for Chicago. They really clogged the middle there. Boston has McCaffrey, who's really dropped deep for an outlet pass. Again, taking herself away from goal, away from the danger zone. She's going to collect it. Why would you worry if you're Chicago? She's in her own half still. Like, this is not the place that you want your attacking wing midfield to be positioned. So she collects it. The middle of the field is clogged up, and I've actually I noted Vanessa DiBernardo. She's actually noticed that Dani Colaprico has shifted out wide to cover that right side of the field, and because she stepped forward, DiBernardo is going to play smart, and she's going to kind of rotate back to the bottom of the diamond, and that's something that Chicago has really been built upon. Is that Colaprico and DiBernardo are so aware of each other, and they know when to step and when to drop in and cover each other. And I think that's kind of the basis of that midfield, those two and their linking play. And that's why the Boston Breakers have to play wide. And that's why the play is not going to get into a dangerous area, because they've funneled it to a non-threatening place. Again, here we go. A few minutes later in the 85th minute, Kristie Mewis gets the ball out wide. She has one runner in front of her that's actually making a run. And that run is away from goal into a channel where she's going to have very little space because she's so tightly marked by Sam Johnson. Kristie Mewis sees this. She decides to cut inside and try to split her defender and get into the space that I've actually highlighted between the back four here and DiBernardo and Colaprico. There's this huge gap. And that is a space that's really calling out for a number 10. on the game feed, you'll constantly hear Matt Beard throughout the game, get into the pocket, get into the pocket. And I think that's something that Boston's really missing, is that number 10 who's able to really play as a shadow striker almost to whoever's playing striker. This game, it was Louise Shilgard. She just was not high enough up the field to connect with her strikers and Mewis and McCaffrey. It was just, she's so non-existent. I don't know if that's because of Colaprico and her play was just so excellent in that holding role that she couldn't press up that high. And I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't think Shilgard is best suited for that position. I think that was when she was at Liverpool, she was out wide. And so I think she's still adjusting to that position. So, again, if they could get somebody into that number 10 role, get into that pocket like a Kim Little, then Chicago would be scrambling and be in trouble. So, and that's kind of how the game ended. Boston never really threatened too much towards the end. The shape of Chicago, their collective defensive play really stifled anything that Boston had going forward. And Boston's game plan is to be resolute and stout, and the play of Zerboni and Salem in front of that back four is supposed to protect their goal and not concede. But when they go down, they don't have any answers going forward. And fair play to Chicago. This is a road game where they nick a 1-0 and go back to Chicago, and they're in the top four right now, on the back of 3 straight 1-0 wins. So actually, I'll leave you with one little thing here. Arsenal fans back in the late 80s, early 90s under George Graham, I think it was, they have this one chant that goes, 1-0 to the Arsenal. And, it's just something that sticks out. Whenever they go up 1-0, that's the song they sing, because, during that time, they were such a gritty team before, the Arsene Wenger era. They weren't this classy, stylistic bunch. They would get a goal and then they would sit on it, and that would be the end of the game. Like, there would be no hope for the other team to really come back and fight. So, I've jokingly crossed out Arsenal here and inserted the Chicago Red Stars. And in the description of this video, I actually put a link to that chant. So maybe the Red Stars fans will, local 134 will adopt that as a new chant, because 3 weeks in a row of 1-0 and 3 weeks of Kristen Press game winning goals, and it's something that I think would be fun to hear in the Toyota Stadium going forward. So that is my take for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments on what my thoughts were, just leave them in the comments below. I think next week we'll be back with the game. I believe it's Jen Buzkowski's last game for FCKC, and so it'll be FCKC hosting the Chicago Red Stars. So another week of the Red Star review for me. Hope you enjoyed my review, and hope you enjoy the weekend's matches, and I will talk to you next week.